Okay, so today we're going to be talking about what is a BAS, what makes up a BAS, and we're going to be focusing on 4 key areas: GST collected and paid, then PAYGW and PAYGI. So firstly, let's start with GST. So if you have read the blog, you would be aware that it's a legal requirement once you hit 75k turnover to register for GST. Now, something to be very mindful about there is that it's not 75k in the financial year. It's constantly a rolling 12 months. So if we've just finished November, the 12-month period, pardon me, will be from September. No, it won't be from September. It will be from October the prior year up until and including November of the current year. So once you hit over that 75k mark, then you must register for GST. So what happens is the GST that you collect on all of your invoices going out sits in a bucket. So if you usually have a package of $1,000 and then you have to register for GST, your package will now become $1,100, and that $100 will be the GST that you collect from your customers. So that sits in a bucket over here. And then when you're spending money, we call that GST paid. So a lot of suppliers or vendors will have GST included in their pricing. So a good example would be if you go and spend $110 at Bunnings, $100 of that is the cost price, and the $10 would be the GST. So that $10 you actually get back from the ATO. So the GST you collect, you have to give to the ATO, and the GST you pay, you get back from the ATO. Now, the next two that I'm going to speak about are things that people often confuse. So we've got PAYGW and PAYGI. So PAYGW is pay-as-you-go withholding tax. So that is the tax that you withhold from your staff or your own wages. So, for example, I'm just going to throw random numbers out here, so don't hold me to these, but the PAYGW is the difference between your staff members' gross and their net pay. So just let's say they were paid $1,500 gross and they got $1,200 in their pocket. The difference between that 12 and that 15, the $300, is the tax that you're withholding. Okay, so that's PAYGW. So think of that as tax that you withhold as a business on your staff's wages. So that also needs to be paid to the ATO. And then PAYGI is your PAYG income tax installment. So this is your company tax paid in installments. So let's stop thinking about the individual and now let's think of the company. So when you lodge your tax return, we're in 2022 at the moment, so a lot of people would have lodged their 2022 tax returns and would hopefully have an amount payable or an amount owing to the ATO at the end of that financial year. What the ATO does is they say, right, Summer, this is how much income tax you paid in the 2022 financial year. So you don't get a big bill at the end of 2023 financial year. What we're going to do is take that tax payable from 2022 and we're going to break it up over the next 4 quarters of 2023. So you're paying it in installments. And it acts the same way as your tax on your wage. So the ATO collects that amount each quarter and then you do your 2023 tax return and it will result in you either owe a little bit more or you might get a refund. So they are your 4 components of your BAS, and now I'm going to walk you through some examples of how they fit together. Okay, so now we've gone through the 4 elements of a BAS that we are focusing on today. Now I want to show you how they fit together. So example 1, we have GST collected sitting at $1,000. So this means, again, the GST that we have charged out to our clients and collected back from our clients is coming in at $1,000. We then want to minus any GST we have paid. So this is currently sitting in at $500. So this is a GST on any of our expenses, be that goods or services that we have acquired throughout the quarter. PAYGW, which is the tax that we are withholding on our wages, that's sitting at $250. And the PAYGI, which is the income tax installment for the company, which is split up into the quarters. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say we've got our GST collected of $1,000. We're going to minus the GST that we've paid. Then we're going to add the withholding, which is the PAYGW and the PAYGI. And then that leaves us with an amount payable of $850. So now I'm going to jump ahead onto example number 2. So in example number 2, again, we have collected GST of $1,000. I'm going to work this one out with you as we go so it makes sense. So we've got $1,000 minus the GST we have paid, which is $3,000. We're then going to add the PAYGW of $250. We're going to add a PAYGI of $100, which leaves us with a refund. So in this case, in this instance, the ATO owes us $1,650 because we had that big amount of GST that we had paid out. So now we have broken down our 4 focus components that make up a BAS for today, and I've also shown you examples on how they fit together to calculate the BAS. I think for me, the main 2 questions that I get are the difference between PAYGI and PAYGW. They are very easy to mix up, but you just got to think PAYGW, W is wages, so that's the tax withheld on your wages, and then that leaves you PAYGI, which is your income tax installment. So that's my handy tip for today. If you've got any questions or you get stuck with your BAS, book a beer on our website and we'd be more than happy to help you out.